In this movie, I'll continue covering their rules and the way PHY 113 course is organized for this fall semester. Okay, so I mentioned that you need to submit post lab on the web assign. Okay, and we stopped at the abstract. So please pay attention to the way how it needs to be written and the way if you do anything not correctly, so be sure you fix it by next lab report. Uh, Also, I need to mention that there are two labs in this semester, midterm and final lab, that you have to write your own lab report without using WebAssign. So, but the organization of that lab report will follow the structure that we're going to use for the WebAssign. Okay, so I mentioned that there is previous video I mentioned that some answers will be graded automatically based on the experimental ranges that are provided, and some answers like essay answer will be graded by your TA and he will be the one who puts comments and assign their point. So again, you have to work on your lab report individually and you cannot copy and paste somebody's work. It considers to be cheating. Okay. So required materials, what you need to have in class. You need to have a lab manual and writing utilities and flash memory drive in case you need to save some experimental data. And I will strongly recommend you to bring laptop if it's possible for you. So in this case, if you complete the in-lab earlier, so then you can start working on post-lab. The post-lab or lab report will be available on WebAssign after 1 hour from the beginning of the lab session. So if your lab session starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 9 o'clock, you will be able to start working on the post-lab. So even if you don't have chance to complete the post-lab or in-lab in class, so at least look through it when it's available before you leave the classroom and ask your TA questions. Okay, so be sure that you understand what does it mean, record the instantaneous velocity. So what it meant by this, so be sure you ask your TA and you know what needs to be calculated in this case. Okay, so it's easier for you to work at home if you actually understand all the questions. Okay, so laboratory hours. The lab will be the labs are set up for 1 week. There is 1 lab week. So if you need to switch their lab or make up the lab, let's put this way, to make up the lab, so you are allowed to do it twice per semester. And on master side you can find first of all you can find the all lab sections schedule and the names of all the TAs that are teaching course PHY 113. So please go to this link prior to submitting their makeup lab request. So, and again, how many times you can submit the makeup lab request? Tell your TA. If you said twice, you are correct. Okay, so these are the names of all the TAs who are teaching lab sections. These are the days they're teaching, and this is the SLN number of the section, and this is the time. So it should help you to figure out what section would fit your schedule if it happens that you cannot attend your own section. Okay, so after you look up and find the alternative section that you're going to attend, you complete the makeup lab request, and there is a link that will take you to the form so that you have to submit. After you submit this form, I, as instructor of record, will get your email, and if it is approved, I will reply to you and both of the TAs, your original TA and alternative TA, and then you as a student have to print the form and bring it to your alternative lab session and leave it with the TA. It is important to do because you are assigned 5 points for attendance, and this is how we're going to keep track of your attendance in case you did not attend your own lab session. Okay. So going further. Okay. In your course syllabus, I still have the description of each part of the lab report. So what is objective, what is procedure, what is the result? Even if we're going to use WebAssign, you still have to write the objective. So to formulate the objective correctly, please read the description, what is expected to be there. So objective, for example, it's a statement of the purpose of the lab. So what kind of physics principle concept were investigated in the lab. So procedure, it's a summary of what was done, what equipment was used to help you to achieve this objective. Please do not copy all the steps from the lab manual. There is no need for that. So the results section, this is the results of the lab. So it is not a raw data that you collected in the lab. It's already after you calculated and completed the data analysis and you you got the result that help you to achieve your objective. That's what you put in the results section. Okay, so data analysis and Web Assigned you will guide through that, but when you work on your own lab report, so data analysis includes all the math calculations based on the raw data you collected to get the results that is the purpose of this lab. Okay, for example, if I want to test the Newton's second law, so the relationship between acceleration and mass, to get acceleration of the car for several trials, I probably will measure velocity versus time, and the slope of this graph will give me acceleration. So the acceleration is still raw data, okay? And then when I build the graph acceleration versus mass and find the slope of that graph, so that would help me to test the Newton's second law, which is objective of my lab. So one more time, there is a raw data in this lab, and there is the results of the lab that that we're looking for when we state our objective. So discussion section, it's a very detailed explanation what needs to be placed here, and there are questions that you need to answer, and if you answer this question, so then you put all the necessary expected information in the discussion area. So there are two different types of errors, statistical and systematic. And I strongly recommend you at home to do this assignment under the course information in there on the master site. If you go here, there is a error analysis, link to error analysis. If you click this folder, you can see the link to systematic versus random error. So please do this activity at home, okay? And if you do this activity, it will help you to understand the difference between systematic and random error. And in this case, you will be easier for you to write a lab report. When you do this activity, you will be required to use a graphical analysis. So the graphical analysis is available on My ASU. Okay. So if you go to My ASU, and My Apps, in My Apps, so when you sign in, you will see the program, graphical analysis. Oh, okay. So you cannot download it, but you can install on your computer and you can use it at home. So it will be very helpful if you collect the data and you save it on your flash drive to have this program on your computer at home and work with this data. So it takes some time. Okay, I'll get to that when it's ready. Okay, so one more time, there is the reference materials for you that are placed under course information on the master site. There is also the link that explains the difference absolute versus relative error, the rules of error propagation, how to propagate the error, and the basic concept of error analysis. What does it mean, error analysis? All this information is very important, and I strongly recommend you to read it through to know how to propagate the errors. Okay. So, and this is what needs to be in discussion. In general, discussion made of 4 parts. First, you state the purpose of the lab and you explain the concept that you were investigating in this lab. Then you state your experimental results, okay, what you got in the lab. Then you need to state the expected results, if any, Okay, if we want to measure free fall acceleration, we do expect some values. So if there are any constants, and then you probably will have some discrepancy. So you need to explain the discrepancy between your experimental results and the expected theoretical results. So after you're done with discussion, so the conclusion section, it's a little paragraph, small paragraph that where you state if the objective has been achieved based on your experimental data. So please make a statement and support it with your experimental data. Okay. So in general, when you write your own lab report, which is midterm and final lab report, it should take about 4 to 5 pages. Okay, if it's a good lab report, it's at least 4 pages, including the title page. Okay. So also, when you do the in lab, you have to upload the graphs that you obtained during the lab report. So be sure to do that, and also print all the graphs that you got during the lab, and your TA has to sign it. Okay, and you need to turn these graphs in at the beginning of the next lab session. When you submit your lab report, you submit lab report and you need to upload all the graphs. Okay, so in the lab, in the very bottom, you can see choose file, and you need to you will have to use print screen button and save it as a doc in the format of the doc, and then you upload it to the in lab. Okay. Okay. So be sure you also sign the graphs when you get at the end of your lab session. Okay, grading. It will be based. There are 11 lab sessions, and as I said, one of them will be dropped. Okay, so which means the final score will be based on the 10 highest score, including attendance. Okay, which is 55 points. It's going to be 50 points. So the total number of points is going to be 1,000. So there is also no round up, okay, or round down. So if you get 89.97%, the letter B plus will be signed. If you get 90.01%, so then the letter A minus will be signed. Okay, so please pay attention, but that there is no round up or round down. Okay. So in general, if you have any concerns with the grade, you have to talk to your TA first, and then you contact me as instructor of record. So contact me via email to to make an appointment. So to log into WebAssign, your TA will guide you through the process. You need to go to WebAssign website, and on that website there is also a paper for you available on your desk table that has the directions on how to sign into WebAssign, and it states that you have 2 weeks of trial period for and then after that, if you haven't paid yet, so then you won't be able to access the lab materials. So the safety rules will be covered by your TA, and the safety rules are posted in the class also. So please be sure that you use all the instruments appropriate, and the evacuation plan is posted on the door. So be sure you look and you know which direction you will have to go. So your TA will also direct you. So this is all general information that I wanted to cover in these videos. And if you have any further questions about the course or about the WebAssign using WebAssign, please feel free to email me. Have a good semester.